And here's a look at the lineup for the Ospreys tonight, highlighted by their star on the back line, Zara Siasi.
Well, expect UNF to see a lot of shots from Florida State, given their talent, and Zara Siasi has been consistency in that back line. She anchors the back four, has been there for a long time, has been starting since her freshman years.
National champions, what a job he has done with this program at Florida State, setting the bar high as it always is for the Noles. Doing a great job bringing in more pieces to make another run again for Florida State.
He's been doing this for now 20 years, Jack, as a head coach in college soccer, and he finally achieved the ultimate success in winning a national championship, and it's given him a calmness and a new confidence talking to his team, knowing that he has achieved the ultimate pinnacle of this sport in winning the national championship last year.
And on the other side for the Ospreys, Eric Faulkner. We mentioned the big win on Thursday night versus Miami, now 6-0 in season openers as the head coach in North Florida.
A man who really came out of the gate strong in his first couple years, has seen a little bit of a backtrack a little bit the last couple years, have been bitten with injuries, a couple of close calls in the last several seasons, including last year in conference play, with games decided by a goal or ended in a draw. They went 1-4-3. This is a team that certainly competes, but they're looking to get over the top and over the edge in a couple of big games here, and already out of the gate here, Jack, getting the win on the road against Miami, their first ever win against a Power 4 school.
Well, it's head official Mina Pinzone checking the watch, hands off the ball in the middle circle. Checks around on her end. Players ready, so are we. Underway in Tallahassee. First kick to the Ospreys, sending it deep. Cameron Simmons, a new addition for Florida State. We'll let that roll out. Now with Sophia Wynn. Between these two teams, fifth meeting all time. Florida State undefeated versus the Ospreys, 4-0. Sent in long and out of bounds. Ospreys take over. These two faced off last season at UNF. It was a 4-0 victory for Florida State. Trevor, as both of these teams start settling in, what are the keys for the Ospreys tonight to try and make some magic happen in Tallahassee?
Well, definitely got to shut down some quick runs like you're seeing right here from Soleil Washington and company.
Soleil Washington, another new addition for Florida State. You'll be hearing that a lot tonight, sprinkled in throughout this lineup. Instead, they'll bring it back and work from the back line.
And really within that, Jack, really clog the middle of the box and in the lanes. Don't let any of those slotted through ball passes come through. Force Florida State to take outside shots. Now, I say that, and of course, Florida State's first goal of the season was by Amelia Van Zanten from way outside the box off the left wing. But you're going to have much more success if you prevent Florida State from getting in too deep, for sure. Really have a clean game and really find the pockets against Florida State's high press on deep.
In behind Simmons. Offsides the call. Instead will be a goal kick for UNF and Sofia Miliancano. Battle in the midfield brought down by Carissa Bachman, transfer out of Texas A&M. Big question for Florida State this year, losing Leilani Nesbeth in that 6th role, how crucial she was during her time in Tallahassee. Bachman so far early on in this season has slotted in to the 6, holding midfielder spot. Much subject to change. Taylor Suarez showing off some skills on the left foot. Rihanna Hudson, what a save! Back to Puerta, it's in the net! Florida State getting it going early. Ashlyn Puerta, the freshman.
Number 30.
Her first goal as a Nole.
Beautiful moment from the freshman from San Diego, California. You see the pressure. Suarez with the speed on the outside. Hudson with that imposing presence, really drawing in the defenders right there to lock things down, but lying in wait was Puerta all alone in the center of the box and just delivers an easy strike while Milian Cano is trying to get back up. Great effort, great precision passing and execution by the Seminoles, 1-0.
What they did so often a season ago, the #1 scoring offense, just over 3 goals a game they average. We mentioned 5 goals in the opener versus USF on Thursday, and it's the freshman netting her first here only a couple minutes into this contest. You mentioned it too, Trevor, a fantastic run from Taylor Suarez out of Charlotte, North Carolina, another freshman, one who will be a part of the USA U20 World Cup team in the upcoming weeks.
And Jack, every one of those players in that last bit of sequence right there is a freshman. Suarez, freshman. Hudson, a freshman. Puerta finishing the job, a freshman. And this is, you know, you talk about the youth. This is a youth movement now with this year's Florida State squad. We talked about last year's successful 2023 campaign. A lot of senior leadership, a lot of players destined for the pro and international levels. A lot of them departing, and it's really a makeshift attacking part of Florida State's lineup. Jordan Dudley's really the only returner from that starting lineup, and even in the midfield there's some, you know, new players as well with the Bachman, as you mentioned. Taylor Suarez playing up top today, played on the midfield in the opener, but nonetheless they're still well-oiled machine. They're greatly coached, but they obviously possess a lot of talent.
Yeah, and you saw Carissa Bachman a little shaken up on that last play. Looks okay now, still out there for the Noles. Throw in close to the corner flag. Cameron Simmons trying to find Rihanna Hudson in the middle, a big target for Florida State, as you mentioned, Trevor, another freshman, 6'2", out of Rochester, New York.
And here's a corner opportunity, Jack, and you can bet Taylor Huff has got eyes for number 42 and Rihanna Hudson. As you said, 6'2", has to be an obvious target to deliver here on corners and set pieces.
See her fighting for position in the box. Taylor Huff to the back post, deep ball, header off the board. Wow, close shot and a big rip from Puerta again into the midst of Milian Cano, but almost another for Florida State trying to strike early.
Going over the top, far post side, headed down off the crossbar, and Anderson, excellent job of clearing the ball just before it crosses the line. Really flirting with that goal line was the ball. Florida State all over it right now, Jack. It is really difficult right now. UNF a little bit out of sorts, but holding their ground, at least in that moment.
You saw Soleil Washington in that replay. The one on the header, just put her hands back to her head like, oh, couldn't believe she missed it, bar down. Milian Cano on the other side, though. Happy at that, still 1-0, Florida State. Taylor Huff trying to find Ron Ewai down the line. Will roll out for a throw.
This lineup for UNF, a little bit more defensive in nature, and understandably so from Eric Faulkner. You've got Brooke Susie and Zoe Looker, two traditionally defensive midfielders in the starting lineup today. So he has that in mind. You see a lot of play in a low block, 11 behind the ball. Typically here as Florida State presses, making it a half-field kind of a game right now with the ball. And they also bring up Addie Todd as an extra defender, their keeper.
You see Addie Todd receiving the ball almost at the midfield line. Florida State taking their time. It's a North Florida team out of the ASUN Conference, a conference that likes to play more direct. Eric Faulkner talks about his style of play with his team. Ball into the box. Milian Cano comes sliding out, but a good defensive play. The one we talked about early on, Zara Siasi. Trying to get her team going on the back line. Stoppage of play. Throw for Ron Ewai.
Siasi just so solid in the center. Knows where to go. She's just an all-around great defender. Knows what to do with the ball. If she doesn't have time, she knows how to just clear it, get it out of harm's way. If she has to kick it back to the touchline and force a throw in, by all means. If she has to find a clearance, good. She's incredibly intelligent in that center back position.
One of the few COVID players, you should say, still left on this Ospreys squad. 90 minutes for her on Thursday versus Miami. And you got to be happy, Trevor, for an Ospreys back line that has never played together as a full unit, pitching a shutout in their first game versus the Hurricanes.
Clean sheets will be music to any coaches or program's ears, but to do it against Miami on the road, to make that a Power 4 win as well, first ever in program history, that was something that, you know, when Coach Faulkner talked to us, it gave them a lot of belief. And that's something that they will carry throughout the entirety of this season. They definitely have, you know, they have to go through the presumed big three in Florida right now to start the season. Doesn't get any bigger than this right now against the Seminoles, #1 team in the country, and then they get Florida again, who they almost knocked off last year, came close. So this is a team that is highly competitive here as they are working their way through the top brass of Division I.
It's been close for the Ospreys over the last couple of years. You mentioned Florida, UCF, a 2-1 game late. You're back. Miami was a 1-0 game before knocking them off on Thursday. Long ball in behind. Chasing after it is Washington. Not able to get there in time. Now look at the ASUN preseason poll. North Florida, you see sitting down at the 6th spot. Last year they were picked 3rd, and it was an up and down season, very close games. But maybe that win week 1, Trevor, has given this team a little bit more respect as you get closer to conference play.
Yeah, they definitely have a bitter taste in their mouths after last year. You mentioned it, 1-4-3 in 8 conference games that were decided by a goal or that ended in a draw. And you know, you see that, and you know it's so close that just one thing after another, or just one break in the game may switch the fortunes of the result. And you know, Coach Faulkner really just said we have to just work on everything. And the main thing, though, was they were creating opportunities. They just weren't finishing opportunities. And now, after another year, a lot of players in the program coming through, but depending on the likes of an Allison Sowers, who got the game-winning goal against Miami, Brooklyn Fugel, they're depending on to really make a big impact this year. They have more confidence in their attacking possibilities of getting behind defenders.
Now you said it, finishing the key. Many of those games, the Ospreys actually dominating in the shots category. They were creating the chances, just couldn't get the ball in the net. Hoping for a different story this year, but a tough task tonight in Tallahassee. Taylor Huff inside to Puerta. Slips it in. That is Peyton McGovern trying to knock it in behind. Taylor Huff trying to play another ball, headed away by the Ospreys. Still rocking around. McGovern. Bellapontieri sends it up. Paige McSwiggan loses possession. Florida State midfield all over right now.
McGovern subbing in for Carissa Bachman. She's getting some treatment right now over at the FSU bench, so that's a potential big loss if the Seminoles
Taylor
make
Huff
up for it. But
going for a run and goes down hard. A dangerous opportunity coming up for Florida State.
another scary moment here for Florida State in the midfield, and Huff definitely hit the deck really hard. Good to see her up on her feet.
Listen, something we'll mention throughout the night. Florida State with a handful of players leaving soon for the U20 World Cup. And we'll take another look at this foul on Taylor Huff.
Huff just taking it herself and gets tripped pretty nastily by Ella Dudley, grad transfer out of New Hampshire with some NCAA tournament experience. Like I said, you know, this team needs to shut things down in the middle. You just can't let Florida State walk and run all over you, particularly through the center. Ospreys definitely have to play hardball here and cannot allow this deficit to increase.
Ball being formed. Taylor Huff, as dangerous as they come on set pieces, a great opportunity for the senior. Blocked at the wall. Simmons able to poke it back. Huff tries to play it through, a header in. Rihanna Hudson chasing after, cleared away. And in that scrum too, Ella Dudley will pick up a yellow card on that challenge against Taylor Huff.
Pretty deliberate, didn't exactly get to the ball. When you draw pretty much all contact and no ball, there's a chance for sure you're going to get carded and put in the books.
You see Addy Todd, the new keeper this season for Florida State, all the way up near the half line, and Florida State liking to work from the back. Soleil Washington cuts inside, looking for Rihanna Hudson, but gets it back. Out wide to Suarez. Suarez lifts one in. Miliancano will punch it over the bar. Active hands back there.
Corner kick.
Keeper out of Miami, Florida. Another set-piece corner for Florida State.
Very unselfish play here by Washington to move it right back out to Suarez, left all alone. And Miliancano probably expecting a cross to find a white jersey to get a header on that, but Suarez just goes for goal, and it forces Miliancano to adjust, and it rewards Florida State with a corner.
Huff with the right foot now. Dangerous ball headed away by the Ospreys. Back in now, back post. Suarez looking for it. Miliancano drops to the deck. Take a breather. Let her team get up the field. Jersey Data tries to find Pontieri inside. Stolen away by McGovern. With Sophia Wynn. Back with Wynn. 12 starts a season ago for her, 3 assists as well in 2023. Saw her a little bit as an outside back role, now slotted in at center back, looking for the long ball, and a run from Taylor Huff, cleared away. Loop back in. Soleil Washington, left-footed ball in the box. Again, Ospreys able to handle. Ella Pontieri clears. It's been all Florida State. Just under 15 minutes. Taylor Suarez. As good as they come on the ball. But a patient Seminoles team, as we said. Addy Todd, you see her in the frame there, all the way up to field. No rush for Florida State, just trying to pick their spots and pick their passes.
This is looking like the old school Florida State Seminoles.
Now Sophia Wynn. Inside run from Soleil Washington out for a goal kick.
What I mean by that is, Florida State, when they were really coming up in the mid-2010s, they really dominated possession. They wanted to squeeze, really put the pressure on you by weighing you down defensively. And Brian Penske's perfectly comfortable with doing that, because when he first came in, he was handed a national championship team, and that's kind of the style that they wanted. They won with, and he didn't want to screw that up. In fact, that's what he told us when we were talking to him before this matchup. When I first came in, I don't want to screw anything up. I know what I was handed, the keys to a kingdom, and he allowed Florida State to get back to a Final Four. Then he kind of likes to mold this new little brand that Florida State hasn't been a part of, which is more direct play, a lot more exciting brand of soccer. And now this team has evolved into doing so many different unique things in different styles of how they can attack.
It's all throughout the ACC. Towards the end of last season, it was really becoming apparent of the Brian Penske style of soccer that led the Noles to a national championship. A lot of new faces throughout this team, but still playing that brand. And successful so far. Mentioned the dominance for Florida State or Brian Penske. Take a look at that. 35 games straight scoring a goal. That record was broken against USF a game ago. On the line today, and on longest unbeaten streak in Florida State history. A record set between the 2014, and 2015 season. A win today for Florida State would break that record, extending the streak to 25 games. Pretty spectacular.
And on top of that, they're currently carrying a 25-game unbeaten streak against non-conference teams. So, they obviously have gotten the better of ACC squads to start the, really throughout the last several seasons, but they come out strong too, Jack. They really don't really mess around with any opponent that they face. They do a great job of facing really tough competition and in-state competition, even if they're not in the conference. They really bring it every single game.
Puerto was showing off some dribbling as well as Soleil Washington. Knowles retained. Huff back to McGovern. Huff in the box. Puerto looks for the back heel. Out wide to Cameron Simmons. Tennessee transfer showing off the pace. In the box, but no one home. Florida State's been all over on those crosses. Osprey is just trying to get it out.
And this is the drawback of you playing defense and playing in a low block, is that you don't have numbers to go forward with the ball. It's hard to find avenues for a player ahead of you to turn and counter the other way.
Taylor Suarez. Easy pickings for Sophia Miliancano, but Suarez, a prolific freshman, two-time Gatorade North Carolina Player of the Year, showing off the footwork, the pace.
So skillful and speedy. Excellent skill with the ball at her feet. She has superstar written all over her. And one of the six, as you mentioned, Jack, that's going to the U20s. USA members from this Florida State team. It's their last game before they depart to Columbia. They certainly expect big things. They definitely want to come out victorious in that tournament.
Suarez only one of those six in the starting lineup tonight. 50 minutes for her a game ago. At the start as well. Battle in the midfield. That's Puerta. Anderson. Now out wide, Ospreys looking to make something happen. A job from McGovern to get back and track that down. The Noles will reset.
It's almost as deep as UNF has had the ball at any point in this match thus far. If you can work yourself out wide, because they're kind of, like we said, you want to lock down the middle. There's no doubt about that. But then you have to flare yourself out, find pockets of space, certainly on through balls and on the outside.
Speaking of space, Taylor Suarez has got some of her own. Cuts inside of the right foot, blocked. That's Ella Dudley, able to turn and get the body in front of that shot. Now with Huff. Tried to pick out Hudson, cleared away back to McGovern. Win with the long ball. Huff, a great run, a header! Just wide. Great idea from the midfield. Taylor Huff, an attacking run. Just wide of the post.
What happens when everything's kind of locked down on the ground in the middle? You go over the top of the mark. So Huff, who's been doing a lot of the facilitating tonight, wanted to find and get rewarded for her efforts on the score sheet with a goal for the first time this season.
Yeah, you mentioned it before, Trevor. 3 assists on Thursday for Taylor Huff to open up the season. Also had 3 assists the last time that these two teams faced off a season ago. Now the Ospreys, though, on the other side, cutting inside is Jersey Data. Booted away by Huff. But for Taylor Huff, mentioned the assists, 7 goals a season ago, also 14 assists, the 3rd most in a single season in Florida State history, all ACC second team. Phenomenal career she's had on the Matt Herman preseason watch list as well. Really has held down the midfield for Florida State, originally at Tennessee, recruited by Brian Pensky. Made her way over to Tallahassee last season and is slotted in perfectly for Florida State.
Yeah, I think she likes playing for Brian Pensky. She certainly has proven her worth. Just incredible threat, you know, running, provides the great service, whether it's a set piece or on the run, and has the long range accuracy as well when she wants to tee one up.
Hudson able to shield off the defender on the left foot. Cuts inside, Huff. Well, we're talking about assists. There's a goal. Right on cue, the senior gives the Noles a 2-0 lead.
Assisted on the play by Brianna Hudson.
More teamwork, unselfish play. Great job by Brianna Hudson. The ball's kind of trailing back, and she uses that left foot to spring it forward, create the space, find the green grass. And then as everybody suckers in, Taylor Huff does a nice job trailing back to the center. Easy shot to her right.
And we saw this after the first goal for Florida State. Entire Osprey squad huddling up, chatting up over that last goal. For Taylor Huff, as you said, Brianna Hudson, fantastic job to shield off the defender. And Huff picking up her first goal of the season.
Really just a chance for UNF, I think, not only to talk what's going on and try and get on the same page, just to catch their breath a little bit. Seminoles have just dominated possession, put the pressure on. It is a hot one still, obviously, as Coach Faulkner takes a sip himself, even in the shade. A lot of sweating going on here for the Ospreys, but got to maintain the energy. Got to be able to fight with Florida State. Got to challenge them. You can't just let them have the space. They're doing a pretty solid job of that, cutting things off. It's just only a matter of time if you can let this continue.
The Noles playing around with it. Brianna Hudson trying to dribble through defenders. Hits the deck, no foul. Booted, that's Taylor Tamaris. Coming in the game just now for North Florida.
That's a great job by Tamaris.
But again, Florida State patient on the back line. Now with Huff. Tries the back heel pass to Taylor Suarez, taken away. Now a few more substitutions for the Ospreys.
Coach Faulkner made 11 substitutions against Miami in their victory, and that proved very smart. In that game, they actually had to wait nearly 2 hours before that one got underway of the originally scheduled time due to weather in the area. So they're out there waiting to get out in South Florida. Hot, obviously, rain involved nonetheless, but keeping players fresh, especially here against the Seminoles, vitally important. And if they're going to maintain and stay in this game, they're going to need subs to not only stay fresh, but also to keep that energy up. You have to bring the effort and energy to keep pace with the Seminoles and challenge them, especially against that back line. They're just allowing Florida State to cut the field in half. Their forwards can get in and challenge the center backs, challenge their wide backs. That could be the difference for UNF.
With Sarah Frazier. And the goal scorer last week for the Ospreys, Allison Sowers, checking in. Taylor Suarez will take a seat. Gianna Riley now in the game for Florida State. EY. Out for a goal kick. Right away, Brianna Hudson trying to bring it down. Riley knocked away in the box. Whistle blows, another goal kick. Sophia Miliancano been busy early for the Ospreys. We mentioned the shutout on Thursday. The redshirt junior and a Miami, Florida. Foul called in the midfield.
Yeah, quite the homecoming for Miliancano to win in her hometown against the University of Miami, and quite the comeback too. She missed the majority of last season after just 45 minutes in the opener, suffered a shoulder injury. Has a career save percentage entering this game of above 90%. So she is really good. She's athletic and confident in the net. You still have Sarah Barentine behind her, who's a senior who took over for her. A lot of good quality experience there for UNF in the net.
Here's a chance for Florida State. Taylor Huff in the box, on the ground, and in the net. Magic. It's Camille Ash.
Florida State. Number 13. Camille
And the Noles make it 3.
Tons of chaos in the box. And Camille Ash decides to get in on the action from that back line, finding her first goal of the season with a quick strike as we're going to get a water break. And UNF, I think, needs it, Jack. But Florida State really riding high right now here in this first half.
It's needed a water break for the players and a break for us. We'll be back for the last 20 minutes right after this.
hydration break.
Your favorite McDonald's collectibles are now on collectible cups. Order a collector's meal at McDonald's and choose between 10-piece McNuggets or a Big Mac to get your cup while you still can.
Ryder didn't just hire you for your name, Sam. We've been over this.
New idea. Every driver gets a caddy.
Got 20 yards to the door. Water hazard on the left. Shih Tzu on the right.
And we're back in Tallahassee, just under 20 to go. Florida State leading 3-0. That last goal we'll take a peek at again. It all started with Taylor Huff.
Charging was Huff down to the goal line. And there were two Seminoles right in front of Miliancano. So North Florida unmarking those two. And Miliancano really has no chance. Simmons with a little bit of a screen as well for Miliancano to find it difficult to see the ball. But with that close of a range, it's tough for any keeper to make that stop. But Camille Ash doing a nice job finding her way down, coming off her center back positioning, getting in there tight and delivering the goods for the Seminoles.
Camille Ash, transfer out of University of Portland. 20 starts for her last season. Anchored that defense there. And 77 minutes for Ash a game ago. And now nets her first goal of the season. She'll play a big part this season for Florida State. You take a look at her career at Portland. NCAA tournament appearance you mentioned before, Trevor, in 2022. All West Coast Conference freshman team in 2020. That drop line right there, 11 shutouts, Portland's most since 2010. It's a great back line, all starting with Ash, and now she'll play an important role this season for Florida State, who lost one of their starting center backs from last year, Lauren Flynn. Heather Gilchrist, you see right there, number 20, now in the game, as well as Mimi Van Zanten. So a few subs all around. Jordan Dudley checks in up top. There's Heather Gilchrist.
This is part of the youth movement and the new blend of players that Brian Pensky mentioned to us talking with him earlier this week. He even mentioned, you know, just because you're a player returning doesn't mean you're necessarily going to start. He actually mentioned that this year there's going to be more competition for spots than in the past, his first 2 years with the Seminoles. So, and one of the keys to doing that is to make sure the new players are welcomed in, that they feel a part of the Florida State culture, and getting into on campus, getting settled in, be comfortable in their environment, but then also be sped up tactically and just, you know, embrace the style of play that you're going to see here with Florida State. And these are players right now that are going to fight for spots, fight for time. And obviously with the U20s coming up, a lot of those players who may not be in the starting lineup right now are going to get valuable playing time in the games to come.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest piece of the message from Brian Pensky, not just to us, but to his team as well this season, is the freshmen not acting like freshmen. Wants them to come in and, he said it, be animals. Fight to win a job. And you're just under 1.5 matches thus far. I think they're doing just that.
And it's not just, you know, not being a freshman from a personality standpoint, but act like an upperclassman in being desperate. You know, recognizing that you may not have an opportunity down the line, or someone may come and beat you for a position maybe down the road. But act as if it's your final year, or act like there's no tomorrow. Make every moment count. Take advantage of every possible opportunity you have on the pitch.
Down the line, Soleil Washington. Puts on a little move. Cleared away, tough challenge in the box. Put back in by McGovern.
Tamares once again getting involved, trying to cut Florida State off. And took a hard collision with Washington there around the corner of the 18.
On the wing with Van Zanten inside. Riley back to McGovern. That's Laura Dantas with the ball, checking in for her first minutes as a Seminole. Another one of the U20s we mentioned. She'll be playing with Brazil. EY, dangerous ball in the box, tracking at the back post. And Van Zanten looking for her second of the year, just on the side netting.
Milian Cano not shy to come off her line. She is definitely an aggressive keeper and wanted to punch this one out fast. But the risk of doing that is an opportunity on the back door. Luckily, the ball trailing too far to the goal line for Van Zanten to have a realistic shot at net.
A few more subs for North Florida. Layla Thompson comes in on that back line. There's Dantas fighting. Dantas just arrived to practice with the team about a week ago in camp with Brazil. Spent time playing with Fluminense in Brazil. And another piece for Brian Penske in the midfield. So much talent littered throughout this roster. Here is Dantas. Moving, grooving into the box, into the midst of Milian Cano, able to corral.
See if the Ospreys can try and get back into the latter half of the field here in the offensive end. Once again, Florida State just so calm, happy with taking the ball in possession. Moving things right back into their attacking half.
Florida State trying to make another attack. Sophia Milian Cano has been busy in net. With more on her story, let's kick it back down to Emily Peters.
Yeah, despite allowing those first 3 goals, she's got high expectations. Coach Faulkner said, I think she might be the best in this conference. Now, a couple years ago, she wasn't their starter, but by the end of the season, she was playing a lot of minutes. She was as good as anyone. Last year, season-ending injury, huge disappointment for UNF, but this year, in her very first game back, she's a Miami local, so she got to play in front of all of her family and friends and got to secure that first win.
Thank you, Emily. A pretty special moment for Sophia. No doubt a shutout in your hometown. And we mentioned a preseason All-ASUN selection last year before that injury. And she was actually 3rd in the nation in goals against average. It's fantastic. A dangerous ball looking for Dudley. Rolls out across the back line. She's been busy in this one early on. You've seen it though, Trevor. In their game on Thursday, a couple reactionary saves that were really impressive. Head coach Eric Faulkner telling us about that earlier this week, but doing the same again this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to be, when she saw the schedule early on, she's thinking to herself, I might be busy these first couple of games, especially against the #1 team in the country. Against the Seminoles, she knew she was in for it tonight. She's doing an admirable job. I know the score doesn't indicate that, but it's tough, when you're getting squeezed in on your heels when it's basically half of a field you're working with right now. But she obviously provides a lot of experience, comes in, great pedigree, and has really garnered a lot of attention. And I think this is probably going to be a strength for UNF as the season goes.
Van Zanten looking for Washington, cleared away. That's Siasi. Foul called on the play.
Florida State once again going with the ball back into the box. Siasi in position. Washington was the one.
And Washington the one to try and net the 4th goal. So close for Florida State.
Just like that, it's like lightning in a bottle. Florida State just goes right back on the attack. Barely have a chance to finish our sentences up in here in the booth. But yeah, Washington drawing contact with Siasi on the foul and wants to make up for it right away by coming in and scoring a goal. Another through ball very nicely to the outside. Siasi just gets the gloves up in time to force it, providing a corner for the Noles.
Another great reactionary save from Miliancano. Corner. Taylor Huff at the front post. Knocked away, we'll do it again.
Anderson, who saved a goal from happening for North Florida, back in on this one. See, Huff can just put it anywhere you want. You want to go near post, good. You know, force the defenders to clear it away.
Deeper ball this time, and how about that? She's unreal from set pieces. Taylor Huff says, I'll just do it myself.
Well, I said she could put it anywhere, and there you go. Backdoor corner. No chance for anyone to get this one. That is just picture-perfect accuracy on how you bend a ball from the corner position.
Slotted. A brace for Taylor Huff. Unbelievable from the senior. Does it on both feet. That time it's from the left. Gives Florida State a 4-0 lead. Big challenge on McGovern. A quick talk between Morgan Gilmet, the freshman, and that referee, Mina Pinzone. At the back line, Sarah Frazier will just clear away any trouble, a throw in for the Noles. Back with Dantas. Left-footed ball. Out and Frazier boots up the field. Time for the Ospreys and a missed kick. Sophia Wynn, fortunate. Heather Gilchrist able to get it back to Addie Todd.
Right before Allison Sowers was looking for her 2nd goal of the season, she was lurking like a shark. Trying to find some sort of offensive movement for the Ospreys. They have had none of it today.
Sophia Wynn. McGovern. It's Olivia Lebdowie checking in now for Florida State.
That's the next phase for UNF in this game. You know, if they want to be able to establish possession, can you connect passes and get it past the midfield to try and move things forward? Maybe able to get one pass, but it's that next second pass, that second touch. So you get it to Sowers, but unable to control and trap the ball. And here comes Florida State to collect, and they'll just reset things.
And it's tough even when Sowers does get that ball. It's 3 to 4 white jerseys circled around her.
It's like a Rubik's Cube fighting back.
There it is, Gianna Riley.
Try and make one move to get to the ultimate result, but it just goes right back into the place you left it before.
That's been this Florida State midfield, the center flank. in all white jerseys. McGovern going for a run. Tries to find Lebdowie. Good job.
Good touch by Thompson. Lebdowie definitely had the run. Through ball just missing the mark. Not enough weight on it to get past Thompson.
Great job from Thompson.
Too aggressive was Peyton McGovern.
The majority of this game being played in the Ospreys' final third, and now a chance to push up the field. Sarah Siassi in deep. Headed behind Gilchrist. Zanton gets it up, and a kick from Julia Cosgrove. Not able to keep it in, and Florida State back with possession.
And it's not just the fact that the Seminoles are so talented and extremely athletic. They're always thinking 2-3 moves ahead. They know where the ball is going to react to, how do you react, and what position you can get into to take advantage of it. Good job by Amelia Cano coming off the line, preventing Lebdowie from possible shot opportunity.
Tough challenge with Fraser and Wynn. Now looking for Sowers down the line, showing off some pace. Gilchrist there as well. How about this pass from Lara Dantas?
Job cutting it off. Feeding Lebdowie, just could not get there in time. Florida State has done a nice job passing all game long, whether it's been short in that final third, connecting and breaking down the defense, or just opening things up down the middle of the field. A lot of it coming from freshmen tonight, getting their first kind of extended chances at opportunities. Laura Dantas being one of them here. As you mentioned, Jack, first minutes of her collegiate career.
More talent in the arsenal for Florida State, especially in that midfield. Taylor Huff really the only returning starter in the midfield for Florida State. Now McGovern. Across the field, Dantas cuts it back, left foot, slide it home. Make it 5 for Florida State. This one goes to the Brazilian.
Laura Dantas with a Seminole goal.
Another through ball right from the middle. Puerta's getting a lot of action here, and as is McGovern with a lot of green grass. Both of those freshmen really doing a nice job, but the beautiful cut by Dantas in particular here really sets this up. Thompson just over pursues way too much. This might end up being an own goal for Dudley, which would be a shame. Dudley does touch it before it crosses the goal line, because that was definitely going in. But excellent job by Dantas executing off that beautiful pass from McGovern.
Officially credited a goal to Dantas. So her first minutes. And Florida State has not let off the gas in this first half. Just under 6 minutes to play with Olivia Lebdowie.
It's going so well tonight. Brian Penske's checking his phone.
That's how it is.
Not saying he's checking his social media feed or anything like that, but he's probably taking notes for sure. But it has been a runaway here. What a first half for the Seminoles in their home opener, already matching their goal total in 90 minutes from just a few days ago.
Saw it just there, a great crowd on hand in Tallahassee. Dantas, Taylor Huff. Some of the goal scorers tonight how special that connection could be in the middle for Florida State, as we mentioned, Trevor, with a lot of these newcomers in Florida State. Brian Penske trying to map out how that's going to look this season.
I mean, it's just like he's kind of just spoiled rotten at this point, isn't he?
Oh, Taylor Huff looking for Jordan Dudley, who hits the deck.
She gets behind Siasi, trips her over, and so that'll go the other way. Probably incidental contact for sure, as Dudley tried to. That was a ball that was going to require all of her speed and strength to get to. Siasi doing a nice job being a roadblock.
You see that often watching Jordan Dudley, whether it's her or a defender nearby, hitting the ground, physical player, fantastic freshman year.
Dudley's a player that's just going to give no quarter. I mean, she's going to fight for every inch. And even with her physicality, she has a lot of finesse to her as well. She's an excellent athlete, great quick turning ability.
Now here's a chance. Ospreys and Sarah Fraser running in behind Addie Todd. Makes away with that pass.
You just see here, Huff does a nice job trying to leave it as Dudley's trying to work to her outside. Has to switch on the outside of Siasi to make that happen, but they're two tangled up. Siasi doing a nice job just sticking with Jordan Dudley.
Gotta love that too for Zara Siasi and Jordan Dudley. What a battle that is for her. One of the top forwards in the country.
Against the premier defender in the A-Sun.
Talk about battle tested. Win. Now Dantas. Huff. Bulls trying to knock it around.
And you see how Florida State doesn't really get agitated even when they're challenged. That's the other part of it. It's like you play in the low block, try and reserve your energy as much as you can to strike on defense. But then when you do challenge them, Florida State is so clinical and technical that they're able to ward off and fight off those challenges and find an open player.
Ball in deep, Ledawi. EY on the first time. Blocked away. That was Layla Thompson, Tallahassee native.
Childs High School product, just up the road.
Only 6 minutes for her off the bench for UNF a game ago. Now a good chunk in this one in her hometown. Ospreys, Gilchrist just all over. Takes a deflection off of UNF, and Florida State retains. Gilchrist, we mentioned. Another off to the U20 World Cup. Preseason all ACC selection, and Top Drawer Soccer ranking her number 22 in their top 100. Now Riley. Physical as well. Call will go the other way. Just a little bit too much from the Gonzaga transfer. As we have reached the final minute of this first half. Push in the back from Van Zanten. Ospreys will move up just a bit further. Knocked around in the midfield. Double zeros on the clock. Florida State on top in the first half, 5-0. Trevor, your thoughts on this first one?
Well, just an absolute clinic. And, you know, even with perhaps not their main starters even in the starting lineup here, Jack, Florida State just continued to push pedal to the metal on the gas and does not let up.
Taking out Sophia Miliancano. Barentine, 18 career starts for the Ospreys. After Miliancano was injured a season ago, was then the starter for the 2023 season.
Has played in every year she's been with North Florida, so she comes in with experience. And again, when they get into the A-Sun, I think when you have Miliancano, already a very capable keeper, really good performer in net, but with the experience that Barentine brings, they're going to have a quality backup behind Miliancano. And you already have Siasi and a really solid back line. It's just they're getting too much, you know, from Florida State. The talent discrepancy is just so obvious here between the two programs right now. So still a lot of things to look forward to if you're North Florida. You just got to fight and battle for this next 45 here in the second half. Come away with some sort of positivity. See if you can keep Florida State off the score sheet. You know, see if you can get more offensive chances. Be a little braver. Take on Florida State a little bit more. Go down fighting.
Second half whistle underway. Changes all around for either side. I think that's one thing to mention too, Trevor. You said it in the first half, how North Florida is lining up against Florida State, a little more tucked back and letting everything come in front of them. Now let's see if Eric Faulkner changes things up tactically, tries to put a little more pressure back on the Seminoles.
This is a good start, already engaging with Florida State's back line and midfield. And you actually heard the bench from UNF give applause, yelling and screaming. That's about as quality and clinical of a sequence with the ball that they've had all game long. Good
Out
start.
wide, Rihanna Hudson looking to go past Thompson. Puerta. Inside on the right foot. What a ball into Jordan Dudley. And what a save in the net. How about Sarah Barentine there in time to make the save? Just under a minute into the second half. And that's a chance one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Jordan Dudley doesn't miss too often.
I'll tell you what, Jordan Dudley, I don't know how much frustration she has already this season. She has been close so many times in these first couple of games. Excellent job by Barentine to come off her line, get a little bit bigger, have those gloves ready, raised up, and gets the save just in time. But by the way, beautiful ball by Puerta to feed Dudley.
Another great ball from the set piece. On the ground, kicked wide by Simmons. Yeah, you mentioned it. Incredible ball from Puerta to fit that through a couple of defenders and find Dudley. But that's a moment right there for North Florida. One of the best forwards in the country in Jordan Dudley, but a fantastic save out of the senior keeper.
They've got skill, and they've got defenders and keepers that can definitely hold their own when called upon. It's just dealing with that constant pressure. And they're a style of team, Jack, that, you know, Coach Faulkner told us, you know, they're more possession-oriented. They kind of build from the back. And they can definitely pick up the pace when they want to, but that's not exactly the way it goes in the A-Sun. There are some teams like they see against Florida State, so this is definitely the ultimate test, obviously, against the #1 team in the country, but the style of play, potentially, that they're going to face.
Dudley. Ripped away by the Ospreys. McGovern fighting in the midfield. Brooklyn Fugel and McGovern going head-to-head, chasing after is Thompson. Van Zanten, how about Sowers getting back? Muscle and Mimi off the ball. Tough challenge from Van Zanten. Cleat caught Paige McSwiggan in the midfield. Walking a little gingerly, but sticking in the game.
McSwiggan led UNF in points last year. True gamer, great counter speed as well when she gets a run. Cincinnati transfer. Really a centerpiece in that midfield. And then, haven't mentioned Allison Sowers hardly at all, but obviously she had the game-winning goal. First ever collegiate start on Thursday against Miami.
First ever collegiate game. How about Puerta?
frustration by Puerta, claps the hands. Knew she could have done a better job, but really impressed by 30 tonight.
Here she is again.
She's doing a great job of really taking advantage of the pockets of space in front of her to get these runs, but also threading the needle on several passes. Obviously, just saw it with Jordan Dudley a little bit ago. But does a nice job, just really quick with her feet. Ball control is exceptional when on the run. Those high, fast paces, she seems very comfortable in that role.
See their new keeper for Florida State. That's Maddie Smith. Grad transfer in the game now for Addie Todd. So both keepers swapped around on either side. Dudley back to Suarez. Calling for it is Washington.
Job by Looker. Holding midfielder for UNF.
Hudson lets it go for Van Zanten. Cross to the back post. No one home. Cleared away by Mason Fry.
That's quite the impressive cross from Van Zanten, trying to track that ball down. Not a lot of room with the goal line, and still able to get it a really good arc underneath it. Crossing the box, Hudson trying, once again, they are really trying to feed Hudson right there in the center.
Just missed. Puerta, touch around the defender, right-footed shot. Stings the gloves of Barentine. Out for a corner. Oh, Smiles, another good save.
I bet you she wasn't smiling when that shot came right at her face.
No,
but
sir.
Does the job, so she gets rewarded with that smile. But how about the power by Puerta? Nice cut down the line, beating Sowers, and then just rips it right to the gloves.
Near post cross. Camille Ash, goal scorer before, not able to keep it in play. A couple of substitutions as well for North Florida. Few changes. Sophia Hayag now in the game, as well as Morgan Gilmet checking in on that back line. Hudson not able to keep it in, but stays with Florida State.
I think an encouraging sign for the Seminoles is Rihanna Hudson's versatility. You know, she obviously comes in hard to miss her with her 6'2" height, but she's got quite the athletic ability, and she can move around very nicely.
Thinking about moving, Puerta, Dudley. Couldn't slot it in behind. A lot of space on that backside. Van Zanten looking for it. Osprey's able to clear. Callie-Ann Poe stepping in front of that pass from Van Zanten.
Hudson getting the start tonight at that top forward position at the 9, where Jordan Dudley's made a home for her. But when Dudley departs here, along with the other members of the U.S. U20 World Cup team, you got to imagine Hudson might take that spot.
And a giveaway from Florida State, a quick shot, challenging Maddie Smith. Sophia Hayag wasting no time, saw Smith just off of her line. The grad transfer from Maryland able to get back.
You know what? UNF bench decided to give Hayag a clap. First shot on goal of the night. First shot, period. And that's already room for improvement from the Ospreys. So you understand the situation you're in. Not going the way you want, but what can you do to pull yourself out of the fire as much as you can and continue to fight and build for the next game?
Thompson intercepting that pass from Gilchrist. Staying with UNF. Little conversation between our head official and Mimi Van Zanten, just over the back, trying to win that ball. So opportunity for North Florida. I mean, Trevor, you already seen it in this half, a little bit more urgency from the Ospreys, trying to pressure that Florida State back line. Put in by Looker.
There's Hudson right there, all 6'2", getting in front of the cross and that free kick. And Jordan Dudley coming in with the Jets.
I mean, an intimidating duo up top between Dudley and Hudson.
Simmons on the back end too.
Also Washington on the far side into Puerta. Patience. Soleil. Washington, big touch. Inside to Suarez, looking for Dudley. Can she find her? Brought down in the box. No foul called. It's shoving between both sides. Again, Jordan Dudley as physical as they come up top.
I mean, you could definitely blow the whistle on that one. There's certainly an argument to be made. But Mina Pinzon's head referee swallows it. But you know what I liked about Jordan Dudley right there? She didn't argue it. She understands the situation. You're up 5-0. No need to throw a fit about it. She just goes about her business. Next play. Very professional attitude for Jordan Dudley. Amidst all the skill and talent that she possesses and the dominance that she exerts, she's not a player that's going to voice her opinion just because one thing goes wrong or doesn't go her way. That's very mature from a young athlete.
Talk about that season for Dudley last year. 14 goals, 9 assists, the third best season as a freshman in Florida State history. All ACC freshman team, among so many other honors for Dudley. First team All-American and a big part. And that hung up right there, another national championship for Florida State. Van Zanten with a run. Right-footed shot! Upper corner. Back-to-back games with a goal for Mimi Van Zanten. Opens this up even more, 6-0 Florida State.
Brian Pensky licking his lips because he's salivating at his offense. And Mimi Van Zanten is turning into a long-range specialist, a long-range goal scorer for the Seminoles. Decides to cut it up, work her way to the middle, just top of the box. What a bend that was, working away with a fade look. Snap fade to the right. Mimi Van Zanten, 2 goals this season. None more crazier. The first one was absolutely nuts. She was way wide against USF. Didn't think you'd have a chance at that one. Close to the 18 box, actually, in terms of perpendicular wise. But this one, no doubt about it, found the open space, created an opportunity for herself, and just lit it to the back of the net.
Yeah, Mimi Van Zanten has a thing for highlight reel goals, as you mentioned, Trevor, 2 this year, both from outside of the box, absolute bangers. And last year, 1 at the buzzer, you should say, against North Carolina on the road. A goal off a corner in the dying seconds to tie the game up at 3 apiece. And it's all the records we mentioned before, crucial in Florida State's unbeaten record a season ago.
It kept Florida State's undefeated season alive, unbeaten season alive.
Now Dudley.
Look at the cross-ups here. This is just art at its finest.
Look at her go. Shoved away, Hadley Collier. Trying to fire up her squad. Huff on the bench. It's Puerta to take the set piece. And how about that? Another off of a corner. That might have been Camille Ash again. Takes a deflection and finds the net. Knowles make it 7.
Hard to tell who this went off of. It might have gone off of a UNF player, but Puerta just decides to go near post. Oh, it looks like it goes off the head of Tamares, I believe, number 30
Might have been.
for UNF, or is that Hayek, number
That is.
10? Sophia Hayek just, unfortunately, for the senior out of Jacksonville, just not the direction of where she wanted to send that ball, so might get credited as an own goal. So an unfortunate break, just not going the way for UNF tonight. Trailing by a touchdown and an extra point.
Indeed, so 7 now for the Noles. You go back to last season, the final 10 games of the year, they outscored opponents 34-2. And now you do the math, you add the 12 goals from this season. Not a bad record right there. 46-2 outscoring opponents dating back to the end of last year.
And they're on pace right now to top what they did last year and what was already a record-setting goal-scoring year, second most all-time.
Set up number 1 scoring offense in the land. Second in the NCAA in goals. First in assists.
And not just that, Jack. I mean, in their last 8 games now, they have had 5 or more goal-scoring performances in 5 of their last 8 games. Keep in mind, a lot of those are in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and you talk about that final 5 goals against Stanford. That's the most goals scored in a tournament final since 2003 when North Carolina defeated UConn 6-0. Soleil Washington ripped on net.
Wants to make it 8. Brian Penske wasn't lying. When he was talking to Emily, they are not letting up on the gas. I mean, just beautiful job. Again, the Noles just don't get agitated, and this is quite impressive as well. Soleil Washington, a freshman as well, just not getting bothered by the pressure. You know it's not going to be green grass when you're making these runs. You have to deal with it, challenge yourself. How do you deal with those situations to stay balanced and keep pressing forward? And Florida State are the best at doing that.
Good job from Tamares, able to box out Puerta, but Jordan Dudley.
Great turn boxing out.
Goes on a run. Out wide, Washington. Cleared away with Sophia Hayek.
Yeah, good numbers back for UNF. The entire back line along with Looker.
Now a transition for the Ospreys. That could be a good ball backside. Van Zanten tracks it down. Simmons trying to turn, loses the ball.
There's a good instance of that counter by UNF that they can definitely spring into action. Don't be afraid to do that, especially against, you know, a talented team like the Noles. Stretch them out. Good
Hit the
skill.
deck. There's a shot. Smith. Outstretched arms. Just wide of the net. Another shot from Sophia Hayek.
Great skill on the ball, too. McGovern got a piece of it, but does a nice job. Hayek does of collecting the ball, taking advantage of McGovern wanting to corral it to make up for the mistake, and just takes a shot. Hayek now with 2.
Yeah, Hayek, 10 appearances as a substitute last year. Senior out of Jacksonville, Florida. 28 minutes for her a game ago as well, and now both shots for the Ospreys in this one.
Yeah, she had to come off the bench for Chloe Lynch, who is a talented midfielder, led UNF in shots last year with 29. So that's a bit of a big missing piece for the Ospreys here. Went down with a tough injury. Got checked and challenged right in the midfield as she was trying to make a run. So Hayek's done a nice job being a spark plug off the bench.
Suarez has space. Lost the footing. I'm gonna go back to that point though, Trevor. You mentioned the injury just in that game. That was a big thing for North Florida last year, dealing with injuries. We mentioned Emily did before with Sophia Miliancano going down in the opening game, losing a couple of their forwards as well. And you talk about how close a lot of those conference games were and the injuries that they had to deal with, leaving that bitter taste in their mouth. You hope bringing those pieces back, just being able to stay healthy, can propel this Osprey team into a deep conference run.
I mean, just some of those things are just out of your control with the injuries, as you mentioned, and it's so difficult. Coach Faulkner mentioned that they did feel a lot of frustration, and a part of that was obviously the injuries, but also understanding that you knew you had the talent, you knew you could compete with anybody, and even some of the bigger names like the Floridas of the world, some of the bigger, D1 programs, and yet, just a couple things just don't go your way, or you fail to maybe execute and finish off what you need to do to score, or maybe on the defensive end, prevent a goal from happening. And that's just how soccer is, and he said it to us, I just play a strange game. It's sometimes, we'll dominate all 90 minutes, but at the end of the day, if we don't have the goal that we need to be one better than the opponent, it all really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's a results-driven business. You take what you can learn from those successes and the little victories, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to finish. And I think that this team really understands that, and they definitely proved it against Miami on the road to start things off Thursday.
Yeah, that's what he said, that win just gave this team a lot of belief, and obviously, not the result you'd be looking for tonight, but again, against the #1 team in the land. Oh, wow. Soleil Washington. Another one for Florida State, 8-0.
Just tally another one up for the Seminoles, just working the ball through. Good dummy play by Suarez, letting that one go past her feet. Washington just takes it, fights off defenders, decides to give a little paint to the post, chip that away, and it finds the right angle to trickle in. First goal of the season for Washington.
Another freshman making an impact, Georgia Gatorade Player of the Year last year. 42 goals and 9 assists her senior season.
Coming again. For a second, she's charging again, Jack, coming right down the center.
Another weapon on the wing for Brian Penske. Simmons loses it, and Knowles still with it. Out wide, Dudley.
Looker clearing that one away.
Go back to Washington, part of the Jamaican World Cup team. Florida State having some experience with that. Jody Brown, prolific forward for the Noles over the last couple of years. Washington, one of the youngest players in the World Cup at 18 years old, made 3 appearances. Special moment for her, she said, the Atlanta native. Her sister, Giselle, played soccer at Tennessee. Under her head coach now, Brian Penske, also a part of the Jamaican team. Here is Washington again, calling for a handball. Taylor Huff back in this one for Florida State and back on the corner duty.
Does she have another one in her to go for goal?
Knocked over the bar. Sarah Barentine, yeah, 2 Olympicos in 1 game. I don't know when that's been done.
I decided to give it to Jordan Dudley. Huff did. I like Barentine's mentality, though. You know, she's excited to be out there, happy to get a chance. I know she's already let go 3, but she's definitely working hard out there and enjoying it.
Another dangerous ball. I mean, you talk about for any team, Trevor, with Taylor Huff, her ability, as we saw, to do it herself from a corner, but also 5'11" Jordan Dudley and 6'2" Rihanna Hudson in the middle. EY.
And what's the old saying? The more things change, the more they stay the same.
There it is.
The thing about that is, though, I mean, this is, I mean, Florida State is just putting up numbers right now that are really resetting the program standard. There was already the gold standard of just winning, being a mentally tough team, athletic, dominating possession. And Brian Penske has kind of rewritten the playbook of what the identity of FSU soccer is.
Could be a break for UNF. So let Washington, though, all over. Those with 23 shots on Thursday versus USF. Already 25 in this one. They averaged just over 17 a game last season. And Huff trying to have one more. On the backside, oh, and another fantastic save in the net. Sarah Barentine. She's like, yeah, I'd do that.
My goodness, there were a couple chances there for Florida State as Coach Faulkner grits his teeth. Washington, low ball. Barentine needing to use her cleats. Stretching herself out in every which way possible. Great performance in net. Really getting a lot of activity, as did Sophia Miliancano did in the first half. And Jordan Dudley again, she's close. She's close to that second goal.
All over, 18 shots on target for Florida State. Talk about Dudley, Top Drawer Soccer ranking her number 2 on the preseason top 100. Rightfully so. As we talked about before, 14 goals, 9 assists her freshman season. Third best freshman campaign in Florida State history.
That's just so impressive by Van Zanten. Falls right down onto the ball, yet she's somehow able to maintain possession. Doesn't give up on the play or the ball. Is able to try and create an opportunity for her teammates. That's the fight. That's the will to win and make a play that is embedded right into the foundation of the Seminoles. And everybody else has got to match that energy, match that focus and intention to come away with a chance. Just a chance. Forget the win, just a chance.
Exactly. It's Van Zanten, the one who Brian Penske calls the igniter for this team. You watch her on that left flank. She's flying up and down all throughout the match. Here's Huff. Hudson, she's got space. Oh, great tackle.
Thompson, sliding tackle.
Hometown hero, Layla Thompson.
She's had a couple of those tonight. She's really done a nice job sticking on to some FSU attackers.
Has to be a cool moment for her growing up in Tallahassee. Now playing at the Seminole Soccer Complex. Dudley takes one from deep.
Good job by Taylor Tamares, trying to be tall and just be a stick figure right there. Huff collects, though.
Off little hezzy. So good on the ball. Dudley with space. Takes a touch.
Good swarming by UNF to collapse on Dudley.
Sophia Getz tracking back.
You touched on Dudley, you know, just the season she had. And Brian Penske, one of the keys when we were talking with him about how does Jordan Dudley build off that? What does she do to, move forward, and what's her focus for 2024? He told us, just be a better player. Don't worry about, maybe your stats or what you did last year. Last year's in the past. And really a big part of that is to try and surround talent around her. And I think from what we've seen in these first 2 games, Jack, I think Brian Penske's did a nice job of doing just that.
How fantastic she has been, and a crucial part for the U.S. team in the U20s. The changing of the cavalry here for Florida State. Dowie, Dantas, Riley.
Yeah, big props to, and a good round of applause for Washington. Puerta departing. Crowd recognizing their contributions tonight. Very special play.
Around the back line, a little pressure from North Florida. Leb Dowie. Space in front of her, finds Dudley, great turn. Chested down by Brooklyn Fugel. Coming in with Sophia Wynn. Booted downfield, Cameron Simmons chasing after. Seen her on the back line tonight. She's lined up as a winger as well. Briefly this season, I mentioned the Tennessee transfer. Led Tennessee last season in goals and points. Great forward. As you said before, Trevor, on a team with so much talent, fighting for spots, doing her thing to get time, and also really made an impact on the line. Dudley trying to find the net, couldn't do it.
I just laugh because she's going to find it at some point or another. Dudley's going to score.
What's another?
Speaking of about to score.
3 for 3, a hat trick. Take a bow, Taylor Huff.
Hat trick in assists against USF. Hat trick the other way here against the Ospreys. And Huff just collects with Van Zanten in the area. Just makes a nice subtle move over back toward the net, just outside the 18. And UNF just kind of stands there. They're just not really engaging. They're playing a little too far back, and just no chance for Barentine. That's just a beauty of a rip from Taylor Huff.
You said it, Trevor. I mean, known for her ability to set up her teammates. 14 assists a season ago, even in high school. Set a state record with 93 assists. And now tonight, it's the goal category. 3 for number 3, and Florida State wants more. Into Dudley, left for Leb Dowie. And another for Florida State, double digits.
And Leb Dowie's headed right to the bench.
Hey, a big moment for her. Missing last season with a knee injury.
I mean, what more can you say? I mean, just Florida State just charging. Nice job by Dudley letting that one go so Lebdowie can have the momentum and the force to drive the ball on the shot. Would have been difficult for Dudley to make a play off of that. But how about Olivia Lebdowie? You touched on it. Missed all of last season. And now she's getting a chance here in these first 2 games to make an impact, and does so here. That's got to feel really good for Olivia Lebdowie.
Junior out of Panama City Beach, Florida. 9 games her freshman year, scored a goal then. As I said, missing all of last season. Now healthy into her junior year. You see it from the celebration, how happy she was to net a goal here tonight for the Noles. With Huff. Thompson in the way of that pass, cleared away by Zoe Looker.
Osprey's really not challenging now and allowing Florida State to run back up kind of to what the Noles did in that first half. I think they're kind of spent. The energy's just kind of deflated. They're kind of low on the energy meters. Try and spring and go the other way if they can find an opportunity. Force a disruption.
Dantas fighting with 2 Ospreys. Sarah Frazier and Ayla Thompson.
Find some sort of dispossession if you can, if you're UNF at this point. And I know, you know, the score is way out of range now, but see what else you can find. You fought hard. Just gotta see if you can do that one more. As Emily talked to us about at the top, do one more is the team motto. Coach Faulkner told us we got to do one more sprint. You know, do one more run for ball or one run for goal. One more play. Take something with you back to Jacksonville.
Just under 13 minutes to go in this one. Still time to have that moment for UNF. Huff back to EY. Out wide. Riley. Down with Dantas.
Look at that skill by Dantas.
With a big line, Florida State will have been undefeated in their last 24 consecutive matches. That will be the school record. And it will be their 17th consecutive.
Taylor off. Tries a loft one in behind Adantis. Now Gianna Riley. Mentioned the Gonzaga transfer is Riley. Scored her first career hat trick to lead the Zags to a 3-1 win in the West Coast Conference Championship game. First NCAA tournament berth since 2005. 17 goals for her across 2 seasons with the Gonzaga. North Florida.
See there, just a little bit of daylight. Hayek had a lot in front of her to work with, trying to team up with Brooklyn Fugel. But again, you need a couple more numbers to help you out there to make a quality chance. Of course, Florida State will do a nice job in recovery, and that's something, you know, against USF, the Bulls kind of had a couple of good, solid opportunities taking advantage of FSU's high press.
Riley trying to do it all herself. Dudley just fighting defenders. Dantas wide of the net. Substitution for Florida State, Taylor Suarez. Looks like she's taken off Jordan Dudley.
And that might be the last time Jordan Dudley will see the field here for the Seminoles in quite some time, with her and Suarez, Riley and Gilchrist headed to Columbia after this game.
Change as well for the Ospreys. Mason Fry.
For Jersey Data. Yeah, hard-fought game for Dudley.
Per usual.
Amazingly, of the 10 goals, she does not have one of them. But nonetheless, you see the effort, you see the work, and she will definitely be ready to go for Team USA in the U20 World Cup. Looks like it's a hydration break here.
And a second half hydration break. We'll take it again with him. We'll be back right after this. About 10 minutes of this contest. And you know, tonight we talked a lot about, for Florida State, a lot of these newcomers, a lot of these freshmen, but one of the Noles that's been around for a while is Ron Ewai. He's here on the back line, number 7 in white, coming over from Japan. You know, first couple of seasons, dealing with different things, kind of feeling a little isolated in a way, getting used to American culture and her teammates and such, and you've just seen the progression over her career and becoming a force on that back line for Florida State, but most importantly, just really coming out of her shell. And, you know, with more on that story from Ron Ewai, let's kick it back down to Emily.
Jack, and find her voice she has. And not only that, Coach Penske has given her the green light whenever she wants. She can pull her teammates, whether that's one-on-one, in the locker room without the coaches, wherever she feels comfortable. She also is the fittest she has ever been. Her and Coach Penske had a meeting over the summer, looked at her fitness tests from her past 4 years, and this is her last chance to really show something for herself and have a professional career lined up. So yeah, Jack, I mean, she has found her voice, and she's definitely making her presence known out there.
Yeah, and Emily, look at it. First 3 years, 4 goals, 2 assists. Now last year, 8 assists, and already one this year as well. No doubt about that. And what a leader she has become on that back line for the Noles. Her voice is certainly heard now.
She is the elder statesman after all, Jack. Now she's one of those COVID players from, as we talked about, you know, Zara Siasi for UNF, and Ron Ewai is that. She actually had a start against Rutgers in the NCAA College Cup. Started off on the wing, so she provides a lot of versatility for the Seminoles, but has found a home on that back line on the outside.
We've seen her lined up in different spots, back across to the back post. Knocked away by UNF. Foul goes against Van Zanten. And you saw Ewai now moving back. An outside back position. She's been in the midfield, as you said, Trevor, a couple years ago as a winger. She's made impacts all over. Talk about that desperation, playing with the desperation in the last year. She certainly got all of it, and as Emily said, as her voice is now more heard than ever, that's rubbing off on a lot of the freshmen.
Well, you want to gravitate towards success, and Ron Ewai has 2 national championships to her name. So, you know, Emily said, you know, she wants to make a name for herself, leave something, and take something. Well, she's got 2 rings on her hand to show what she's all about. But certainly wouldn't mind a 3rd.
I was going to say that, yeah. Not bad, not too shabby a bling to start.
She's just so smooth. She's a smooth operator, very consistent. You see her right here working against Fugel. Makes you earn it trying to get around her, but she's always there to never give up on the play. Even if she's beat, she comes back and trails and finds support. And really one of the standout plays for her career was last year early on, helping out Taylor Huff with a game-winning goal early on in the 2023 season. She actually got the start in the midfield and provided a beautiful long ball, and Taylor Huff just one-touched it right into the box to defeat Texas A&M. It was a thing of beauty set up by Ron Ewine. She has really great service, as you see right here, trying to feed Lev Dowie.
Coming off her line is Barentine, and corrals that ball. Also, no points in the contest for EY last year, but against Notre Dame was huge on the back line. That was something we asked Brian Penske earlier this week. Was there a moment this year or last year where you knew and the team felt like something special could happen? And their response was all the same against Notre Dame, a 4-1 victory at home. Went on to beat Pittsburgh the following week as Gianna Riley fires over the bar. And later on, traveling to Duke, taking them down 4-0. And that's when he said, after that game, we all had a total belief that we're pretty good. And also told us, as he even said to Emily at halftime, it's foot on the gas. And that's been the motto for the Noles.
Yeah, it's curious to hear that. It's a very humble mentality when you're already the #1 team in the country at that point when that Notre Dame game came around. And yet they're still not all there, as though, or at least they're thinking to themselves, we could be better. There's room for improvement for us. That's such a mature approach to the game right there, knowing that there's still things for us to really improve upon and take advantage of and really go after, knowing that we're not settled and we're not going to be settled until we are hitting every part of the game that we want to in the right way. And since that point, they have gone on such an offensive explosion since that time. You mentioned the Pitt game. That was a really tough, hard-fought game against the Pitt Panthers. Pitt actually led at halftime here in Tallahassee. That rarely ever happens to the Seminoles, but they were able to pull themselves together, fight their way back for a win. You go on the road at Duke, tough place to play. Finish off against NC State with 5 goals. Go out and win the ACC tournament. That really helped prepare them for that. Going up against the likes of Clemson, who had a fantastic season. And, we talked about at halftime, the ACC preseason poll. Got to mention, Eddie Radwanski and what Clemson did last year. Great save by Barentine.
Yeah, how about that? Dantas showing off some skill in the midfield, and we've seen it a lot this half. All smiles from the senior. Full extension laying out.
Dantas already. I think Brazil's kind of licking their lips over what they could do with her in the World 20 or the U20 World Cup in a few days, couple weeks.
No doubt, really commanding in the midfield is Lara Dantas, and also popular on TikTok as well. She's got over 700,000 followers on there. Crossed in the box. Barentine again out to claim.
I don't know if Mike Norvell's in the building, but I think he'd appreciate the receiving skills here by Barentine. Tough to break him away from football preparations a week before they hit the road overseas to Ireland to play Georgia Tech.
Week 0 kicking off in college football next Saturday. Florida State, Georgia Tech, as you mentioned, Trevor. College game day there as well.
How about the connection with UNF in general? He actually spoke with UNF just a week and a half ago or so while Florida State was practicing over in Jacksonville, talking. Eric Faulkner, a FSU grad, spent a couple minutes, talking about mentality and digging deep.
It's a pretty cool moment. He told us about that and said an FSU grad. He's a Noles fan. Obviously, when these two are facing, it's a different story. He's an Osprey through and through, Coach Faulkner, but pretty special moment for the team to come and have Mike Norvell come in and chat. Said he came in about 45 minutes. He spoke to the team, and they were shocked when he arrived. Didn't expect him to come through the doors, and shows the type of man and person Mike Norvell is, and how his words carry weight. There's a photo of head coach Mike Norvell for Florida State football, paying a visit while that team practicing in Jacksonville. Really just spoke about the little things.
I think the T-shirt says it all. Work.
No doubt.
That's what Mike Norvell's been a part of in his identity and his messaging to Florida State football, to get them back to the standard that FSU wants to be football-wise, and that's the standard I think UNF wants to exemplify in the A-Sun. We're going to work and we're going to try to outwork you. And they've worked really hard in the offseason to get, as we touched on, how many close games they fell, that they let go by last year. They want to correct that. They want to flip that the other way.
Florida State still pressuring, under a minute to go. Well, for North Florida, huge win on Thursday versus Miami, and you run into a juggernaut, the reigning champs, #1 overall Florida State Seminoles on their home turf. Dantas off the bar. And for the Ospreys, now going to play the Gators this Thursday. So the trek around the state. Florida State takes this one 10-0. Trevor, final thoughts.
As dominant can get. Most goals scored in a game since September 7th of 2007 against Francis Marion. Absolutely incredible performance tonight. I mean, the freshman just exploding for the Seminoles. Of course, can't forget Taylor Huff with a hat trick of goals. #3 living up to the number on her jersey.